Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is Sriram here again from TLR Now. Welcome to the 78th TLR show. We had taken a small break. The situation around us in the last 1.5 to 2 months was extremely challenging and traumatic for all of us, in fact, and TLR Now was no exception. But again, that is behind us, while the situation may not be. So TLR Now is back. TLR shows are back, and it personally gives me immense pleasure to be with you and talking to you all over again. And I'm sure this journey will continue in the days to come. So today we pondered at TLR Now, how do we re-begin the journey, so to speak? Whom do we call as a guest? What would be an appropriate topic, etc.? For lack of better words, we did lose sleep over it. So we said, what is it? Whom do we call up as a guest? And then, kind of things fell in place. So we have a wonderful guest today, a very nice storyteller, okay? Somebody who likes to see things from a very different perspective, and who brings about a lot of depth in what he says in very simple words. I've had the opportunity to know our guest for about close to a year now. We had collaborated on one small engagement, and that's how we've been keeping in touch. And he comes with a wide variety of experience. He has close to about 30 years of experience in the corporate entrepreneurial space. He has worked in the oil and energy space. He has worked in the healthcare space. He has worked in insurance space, a fintech space, and recently his business mentoring for SMEs, MSMEs, etc. Plus. He is also an independent director on the boards of a couple of insurance organizations. And as if all this is not enough, he also finds time, or he also found time to research about something that is so integral a part of our lives, and that is sleep. So, ladies and gentlemen, it gives me tremendous pleasure to call Srini, or Srini as he likes to be called, onto our show. Good evening, Srini. Wonderful to have you here.
Thank you, Sriram. It is absolutely wonderful, and thanks for those kind words. And I'm absolutely excited and very happy to share my thoughts on with you and with the folks, whoever is listening today. Yeah, looking forward.
Yeah. Right. And yeah, definitely, Srini. I think the audience would also be able to see, Srini has a nice setting, appropriate. There's a nice, comfortable, cozy bed in his background. So I'm sure we have the right setting, the right topic to talk about today. Srini, get into this whole topic of sleep.
Yeah.
I just had a couple of questions that have always intrigued me when I've looked at her profile or when I've spoken. There is a wide repertoire of things that you have done. Is this so? Two questions here. Was this by design, or you just let things, fall in place as you moved along? That's the first question. And secondly, based on this wide experience that you have, what are the key revelations that you've had? What are the key learnings that you've had?
Yeah. So look, I think I will. I'll go straight into the subject, right? I think enough has been said about my background. So I am fundamentally a type A personality, right? I think really, I get into the heart of the matter really hard. I get worked up. Get into a lot of details. Attention to detailed details. So that's what I will get into. So I have, as I was climbing up in the corporate ladder, I realized that there is something which is missing in here, because along the way I also picked up, right? I picked up a couple of other things that is very usual for the corporate ladder, which is I picked up a little bit of hypertension and diabetes. That's the usual lifestyle diseases that you pick it up. And they were all, you started working on it, and then, started taking medication and working, doing some workouts and other things. So whenever, there are 2-3 things that I was just stumbled on, right? I think whenever we are talking about medicine, or whenever we are talking about, wellness, right? I think there are just 2 things that are being talked about in wellness, right? I think people talk a lot about wellness means working out, right? I think that's how it is sort of seen. And about nutrition, what to eat, what not to eat. There is a lot of focus, a lot of concentration on that. And then everybody says that wellness means those 2 or 3 things, but not many people talk about the sleep. So sleep was not discussed in there. And then, I so in the career path, I moved to Mumbai. Then Mumbai, a city that does not sleep. So I come from Chennai into Mumbai, into a city that does not sleep. So that adds to the whole anxiety. I think, you are saying that, is that sleep is sort of positioned as something that, it's against hard work or something like that, right? That is how it is positioned. So you are picking up all these things, and you are successful in the corporate career. You picked up lifestyle diseases, and you are sort of looking at wellness, and you are doing the 2 other things, working out and nutrition, and without really contributing, thinking about the sleep. So one day, there was some discussion in some forum, right? Somewhere where I was sitting in there. People are talking about a word. First time I have heard it is called sleep apnea. And they told me. I said, what exactly is apnea? I asked them. Then finally I realized that it's snoring. Snoring has got close correlation with sleep apnea. So I said, let's get into it. And that's how I got into, about few years back, right? I understood what exactly is sleep, and then started deep diving into it, and then that led to a lot of revelation. So I'm going to cover more about that. So it was more not by design, because I'm a chartered accountant. I have nothing to do with sleep, right? I'm also not giving any medical advice today, right? I'm going to talk about my personal journey and what worked for me. I'm going to talk about it, because
Sure.
I found, right? I think, it's more about me talking about my personal journey. So there is no design about it, I would say. That's first, what I want to say, and then we will keep discovering as we talk more about it.
Sure, sure, Srini. So and I would request the audience also to type in their questions about sleep. And as Srini clarified, this is not any medical advice that he is providing. It's more of his perspective, what he has learned, and we'll be happy to take questions and bounce them off with Srini. So, Srini, you spoke about how the entire thing got triggered off. You were in this meeting and you learned about sleep apnea, etc. So, in very simple terms, can you take us through what exactly is sleep? I mean, we are supposed to do this for about 8 hours every day, right? But what exactly is sleep? What is its impact on the body, on the mind, right? So, could you talk about that
Yeah,
a bit?
I'll cover a little bit about the sleep. What I studied and understood is sleep is a
Mhm.
complex, very complex reaction. Okay, it is coming
Mhm.
together. Both physical, neurological, and chemical things are coming together to get you a good sleep. So there is physical, right? What is physical? So it's not just a very simple thing. I actually realized, people take sleep as very, very easy thing, that, you don't know what is happening in sleep. You fall asleep and you get up and you feel good or bad about it, and that's it. But sleep is not as simple as that. Sleep is very, very complex. It is a culmination of a fantastic chemical reaction. And then, so I will take a little bit time to sort of explain what exactly is the chemistry. Then we will get into the neurological and physiological aspects of it, right? So there is,
Sure.
imagine an hourglass. Imagine a mythological hourglass which takes, 16 hours for the sand to come from the top to the bottom and 8 hours for the sand to drain on the other side. I mean, normally hourglass is 1:1, but let us say you got hourglass which is 2:1. That is what the body is. The hourglass, what is the sand equivalent, is a chemical called adenosine. Adenosine is a chemical which starts secreting in your body and its level starts going up as soon as you wake up. Okay. And then it starts building up. Slowly, 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 it builds up. Hour 16, right? When the hourglass is full, roughly about 16 hours or 14 to 15 hours, it starts getting full. And there is a lot of receptors, or the body has got a lot of neurological receptors. All the receptors throughout the body is figuring out that, bus, hey, this glass is getting full now. So it sends a message to the brain saying that it's time now to relax. So that is one of the reactions that goes in. But it's a fantastic chemical reaction. Adenosine builds up until during the sleep it actually drains itself out. Okay, it's not as simple as that. I will explain more when we talk more about why adenosine really important for us to understand. And then there is a secondary chemical reaction that is happening, right? The lot of food that we eat. Okay, I don't know why God has designed this to be such a very complex one, but this is very complex. The second chemical reaction. The food that we are eating contains a lot of amino acids, okay, proteins and amino acids. These amino acids convert themselves into a first chemical called tryptophan. Tryptophan is a chemical that gets converted from the food directly. And then tryptophan becomes the second chemical or a neurochemical called serotonin, right? And that process happens throughout the day. As you are eating food becomes tryptophan, and then tryptophan becomes serotonin. Serotonin secretes in the head, but it resides mostly in your gut. About 80% of the serotonin remains in the gut. And so it sort of interacts with therefore it is also very important to have gut health properly, but that we will talk about it separately. So serotonin has gone to the gut and it is all there. And then we will talk about circadian rhythm separately, but right now I will just take a little bit of reference to another chemical called melatonin. So melatonin gets released in the evening. So it's called a evening hormone or a darkness hormone. We are going to talk about darkness also separately. And melatonin, when it triggers, melatonin converts it gets converted. Melatonin does not secrete separately. Serotonin gets converted into melatonin. And so it's very complex, right? You eat food becomes tryptophan becomes serotonin, and then serotonin becomes melatonin. And it is melatonin which actually triggers your sleep. This is the second trigger to the sleep is melatonin. Everybody knows about melatonin, but you got to understand the full, the what we call as the Nadi Moolam and the Rishi Moolam, right? So let us fully understand. It all starts from food and then it comes into the serotonin, melatonin. And melatonin triggers the sleep. So these are the two chemical reactions. One is, both of them are triggers to sleep. So that is the chemistry of the sleep. Now, physiologically, you got to be tired. If you are not really tired, you are feeling really, either you are feeling anxious or you are feeling very fresh, you are not going to feel sleep. So physiologically, so that's what happens, right? You wake up in the morning, for about 16 hours you work, you actually feel tired. So physiologically, your body parts are tired, and therefore that's another reaction that goes in there. So physiologically, you are tired. So it comes together. Your adenosines are up. Your melatonin is starting to secrete. Your sleep happens, and all these things are all controlled by the body parts. We will see that when we talk about circadian rhythm in a little bit. So it is a very the listeners today, I want them to understand that sleep is a very complex process. So many things are coming together, and it has to come together in little, in a lot of precision has to happen so that you have actually a good sleep. So that's the chemistry of the sleep, and that's really, really important for us to understand, because we don't want to, there are lots of things that we do to inhibit and impede the flow of the chemistry, and we got to avoid that if we want to have a good sleep. So we'll cover that in a moment. So I want the readers to the listeners to fully understand the chemistry of the sleep, and that's really important. And then only your good sleep is triggers. Sleep is not just about triggering. We will also cover that. There's a lot more things beyond that. but we will cover that. That's about the chemistry, the process of sleep that it happens. And
Sure.
yeah. Is there something that you want to ask now, Sriram?
Yeah, Srini. You spoke about darkness, and I remember
Yeah,
the couple of times that we have spoken, you've always said embrace darkness,
yeah.
right? And it has a philosophical ring to it. But
Yeah,
that aside, and I realized that you were talking about it in the context of sleep. Would you want
yeah,
to, kind of elaborate a bit on that? What do you mean by embrace darkness? Okay,
yeah,
kind of
yeah.
sounds ominous on the face of it. So
Hmm.
context of speech, sleep, it would be good if you can kind of talk to us about that.
Absolutely, absolutely. No, thanks for saying that. I think it nicely flows into the next topic that I want to talk about. Is about circadian rhythm. Yeah. So, if Udayan can put the first picture, the picture which contains the human face and the head, that will be very useful. Now, I just want to explain that to you, right? Darkness, essentially we have, the human beings have sort of anything that is dark is called as sinister, right? I think, we think that darkness is evil and light is the opposite of that. And that's how the history has been said, and, we have all grown. But let's understand one thing, right? In the Big Bang theory, right? Before the Big Bang, there was all darkness, and the interstellar space, it's all full of darkness. So darkness, is not something which is the opposite of light. In fact, I went on to understand this actually very importantly. I understood that darkness is actually the genesis of light. Light comes out of darkness. So it is very profoundly philosophical to understand that. I think that is why I would think, I'm not an expert on it, but I would think that the Hindu religion actually calls the god, the male god as Shiva, the Kala, and then the female god as the Kali. Kal actually means both darkness as well as time, and they have got deep philosophical meanings. It is actually darkness. Everything comes out of darkness, right? If in fact, we even say that the Ananta Sainam, the god that always lies in sleep, is also a god. His complexion is dark, said to be dark. So he is the creator and he is the protector. Let's understand. So that's the whole thing. I think so. Darkness has to be seen in a different light. You don't want to see darkness as opposed to light. Darkness it's a different dimension, right? It's all embracing. Why this is very important? It's very important to understand sleep and darkness are very, very highly, there is a high level of correlation. Only when there is enough amount of darkness. I want the picture back. I have not fully completed that. Udayan. The darkness is actually very, very conducive for inducing sleep. It is very important. Now, if you see this picture, everyone has got a third eye. Okay, I want to actually mention to you, it's not just Lord Shiva who has got a third eye. Everyone has got a third eye, and the third eye, it sort of sits. You have these two eyes. Both the eyes, you can actually see them. This is for the non-medical, non-biological people who are all there, right? I think this from the eyes, there are optical nerves which are going inside. You can actually see them, and there is a particular position where the optical nerves are crossing over, right? For some strange reason, the right optical nerve goes to the left side of the brain, the left optical nerve goes to the right side of the brain. Exactly where they are changing over, just slightly above that, is placed what is called the third eye. It is extremely important for us to understand. The third eye is receives all light and processes that light. The moment it processes light, third eye is the one, it is called it's a very long word, it is called suprachiasmatic nuclei. And it is just 10,000 neurons, okay? You just imagine, the brain has got billions of neurons, probably I think 100 billion neurons are there in the brain. But this one particular small portion just has got 10,000 neurons. It controls the light, processes the light. It then sends a message to the hypothalamus or the pineal gland saying that was रात हो गया शाम को हो गया, light has come down, now you can start secreting melatonin. You can now correlate the melatonin story that I told you. So now, if melatonin is very important for triggering sleep, Light is the external stimulant which triggers the secretion of melatonin. Therefore, it is very, very important for us to understand that a good quality sleep can only happen if there is absolute pitch darkness. And this is something that I learned out of, and I went about, and in fact, I'll tell you, I scientifically went. I mean, I'm talking in my bedroom actually. This is pitch dark in the night because we have got two sets of curtains. Okay, the light curtain and the dark curtain, and then there are no light emitting, no LED lights in the room in the night, like which is saying completely all everything has been, we tape everything else in the night if there even if there is something else which is giving light. Complete darkness has to be there, because if your body picks up, or your suprachiasmatic nuclei or your eyes pick up some light, it goes to the SCN, and then from there it goes, the melatonin will not be secreted any longer, it will be stopped. And I have experienced this very thoroughly. So embrace darkness means that, in the evening, see what has happened, right? I think as the civilization progressed, we realized we started consuming a lot of light. You can actually take off this picture, it's no longer required. So I sort of realized that there is a name that is given as light for a reason. Okay, light has to be lighter, pun is actually intended, but we are consuming heavy light. We have light has to be lighter, and we are consuming heavy light because what happened is, if you look at the history of light, right? I think we had kerosene lamp, or we had oil lamp, and then we had kerosene lamp, and then we had incandescent light, and then we had fluorescent light, then now we are having LED light. And if you look at the history of them,
Right.
they are all replacing one form of light with the other more efficient form of light. So we focused on efficiency, but there is another factor which is called the lumens, right? The lumens is actually has increased from the oil lamp to the LED lamp. Now the lumens is multifold increase. So human beings are now consuming significantly higher intensity of light, and to have more light is considered, like it's very important and other things. But if you are going to have more light beyond 7:30 in the evening, your eyes are going to receive them, you are not going to have a good sleep. So such a long explanation to tell you why embrace darkness. There are two things that everyone has to do. In fact, I have done this. I have got two sets of lights in my home. I also have got LED lights. I mean, you got to have LED light. It's a modern home, right? You need to have LED lights. One set of light is called the celebratory light, right? I think, you got Deepavali and other things where you need to celebrate. You got New Year's Day, we celebrate. We need to have a celebratory light. And the other one is the post 7:30 light. There is enough light, you're not going to fall down, but you don't need lumens. Okay, reduce the lumens. So start training your eyes, saying that yaar ye raat ho gaya, yaar sham ho gaya, right? I think you need to start training that. It's very important to train that. And your eyes are receiving. So light is, I can tell you, the biggest problem why the modern human being is not. When I sit here and look at my apartment complex in the night, 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, I see bright light in every apartment. How do you won't get sleep if you are going to have bright light? So one of the fundamental issues with triggering sleep and melatonin, which really I took pains to explain you the chemical reaction behind that. So now we are finding that there is a correlation with light. Light gets consumed by your eyes and it goes into your thing, and there is a lot of complex stuff, right? So light has to be light, and you got to embrace darkness. When you are sleeping in room, your bedroom has to be pitch dark if you want to have a good quality sleep. If you want to have a continuous flow of good melatonin, so that your sleep quality is really good. This is really, really important, and that's why I'm saying, embrace darkness. And in that process, as a byproduct, if you understand that darkness is all not sinister, and all those things that we understand, then it is even better, I think. So that's why I said darkness is really important, Srinu.
Thanks, Srini. I think that was that was pretty exhaustive, and that gave a very important perspective to why darkness is so important, because it triggers all the physiological, the chemical, triggers within the body. So we have one question from Kirti, and question is, how is it that some people are blessed that they can sleep in the middle of any chaos, be it sound or light? Is it purely like an exception, or can we actually train ourselves to, adapt to this sort of a scenario?
Yeah,
Thanks
look,
for asking that, Ski.
yeah, it's a very good question, right? I think it is physiology. They are wired differently. Okay, so you can't. There is no way to train yourself to do that. I have seen people that even if there is a lightning and thunder, they will actually sleep really well. You can't really stop that because it's their physiology. It's not. So I'm talking about the sleep of an average person. And these guys are exceptions I have seen. And there are people who will get up very quickly. The moment there is a light on, or even if there is a small sound, people will wake up. So very sensitive guys, and they may have their own sensitive. And I will try and cover that when I'm talking about the REM, non-REM, sleep time cycle. Depends upon which cycle that you are in. Also, to some extent, I think we will cover that. What is the what about the various cycles of sleep? We'll cover that, try and answer that a little bit, Sriram. Yeah, Sriram, are you? Okay, so since Sriram seems to be there, I'm going to talk about circadian rhythm. Then, if I can ask you to put the circadian rhythm.
Moving ahead, we saw sleep, what it essentially means, the importance of darkness, etc. But yeah, Srini.
So, Sriram, I thought I will just talk about circadian rhythm a little bit, and then we can continue. Is that okay? Yeah, the picture of circadian rhythm is there. Now I will sort of explain what is circadian rhythm, right? It's a three word. Circa is the circular. You can see the circle there. It's a cycle of the day. Dian means the din. The Sanskrit word din. Din means day. Everything. It's the same word. It's relating to the day of 24 hours. And then rhythm. Rhythm basically means ups and downs, right? I think circadian rhythm. So it is the circular rhythm relating to a daily life. That is exactly what circadian rhythm means.
Sure, Srini, please go ahead.
Yeah. So circadian rhythm, very interesting trivia that you need to remember. It is not exactly 24 hours. Circadian rhythm is slightly more than 24 hours. Okay. It's about 24 hours and about 15-30 minutes time. And it does not change. So it's something which is very interesting for you to note. And then there are, not everybody else has the same circadian rhythm. This is another interesting theory that I figured it out. That there are about 25% of the people are early birds. They have a circadian rhythm which is advanced, running in advance by about an hour's time. There are about 25% of the guys are the population, not guys, everybody. The population is called the night owls because they sleep late. Their circadian rhythm runs 1 hour behind or 2 hours behind. And then about 50% of the people are in between. Okay, some days we can go here and there also. But the early birds continue to be early birds. The late owls continue to be late owls. Okay, so it is very important for you to understand: are you a early bird or a late owl? There are quite a lot of Google questionnaires are there. You can just go into Google. You can just answer. You type a quiz, and if you answer about 10 questions, you will know about your rhythm. It's very important for you to understand: are you a early bird or are you a late owl, late night owl? Because this is very important, because this is how your circadian rhythm runs, and your energy level peaks or comes down when you are going to feel. So it is actually another thing here in India. We are having only Indian Standard Time. Circadian rhythm goes up and comes down as per the sun's light also. Unfortunately, we have got people in the east, like the northeast also, east also, or Indian Standard Time, and in the farthmost, the Gujarat or Rajasthan border or Punjab border is also following. And then north south there is not much of a problem because it is vertical. The horizontal axis is the problem. And they have to follow this. So I have actually written to the ministry and saying that in India we need to have 3 time zones: the northeast time zone separately, the east time zone, and then the west time zone. We need to have this, but we don't have it. Okay, so this explains a lot of other problems that we are having. But this is the problem that we have to deal. I mean, we definitely need more time zones in India. Different topic, but very much related to this. It has got a huge impact on the sleep cycle. So now the circadian rhythm, you can actually see that it starts in the morning and then it goes and then it sort of puts you there. If the people who are late owls or the early birds, they got to figure out themselves out, and you got to figure out what your partner, if you are married, please figure out what your partners are. If there is still a possibility you are still not married, figure out what is your partner's type and get married. It will be quite a bit of a difficulty if a early bird is married into a late owl. In the US, quite a lot of divorces are happening on account of this. So this is something very important for you to figure out. If you are a early bird, find another early bird, and then your life will be a lot better, because you will get to bed at the same time. So it's a very important thing for you to understand. And also, second thing is, understand your pattern, observe your body, understand when your energy level is peaking, when your energy level is going down, and it will happen at the same time again and again, day after day after day. And that's very important for you to understand. And then then you can actually, you don't want to go into a meeting when your energy levels are down. You don't want to take an important decision when your energy levels are down. So dovetail your circadian rhythm with your nature, and then understand your body speaking and of the energy, and then accordingly conduct, structure your day. And it is very important that you go and have a chat with your boss. If you are for example, every company starts at 10 o'clock for everybody, right? I think that's a problem. It's a societal problem. And thankfully, with work from home, maybe it is slightly different now. But when you get to the office, all children have to come to school at 8 o'clock in the morning. Everybody has to get to office at 10 o'clock in the morning. You all go home, and everybody is not made same. They are not wired same. This is there. This is a physiological fact. This is still not appreciated. It is very important to understand. Quite a lot of the problems happens. You feel sleepy in the office, or it all have got to do with circadian rhythm. And circadian rhythm is purely triggered by your suprachiasmatic nuclei. It sets up your morning. So there is one way, one simple technique I want to sort of leave this first tip with you, is for you to sort of trigger the circadian rhythm is, as soon as you get up, right, once you have done your morning course, just go and consume sunlight, enough sunlight. So you send a message to your circadian rhythm saying that, yeah, subah ho gaya, now I have, the Suraj has come, therefore I have, once you set your morning timing right with your circadian rhythm, most of the things will automatically sort itself out till the evening. It's not about the evening, right? I think there are two things that I want to sort of reverse and put it the other way around. One is, people are, when I say alarm, right? Alarm, we all know 99.9% of the people keep an alarm only to wake up. Now I am saying the other way around. I am saying you keep an alarm to go to sleep. That means that you go to sleep at a specific point of time, again and again, day after day after day, and then you fix your circadian rhythm that way. So reverse the whole thing. Don't keep an alarm for waking up. If you keep an alarm for sleeping, you don't need an alarm for waking up. I have actually experienced this fundamentally, and it is true. And second thing is, consume sunlight first thing in the morning. By doing that, you are sending a clear notification to your circadian rhythm saying that it's the daytime, and then your clock is set properly. And then in the evening, you start reducing the light from 7:30 onwards. Then your melatonin secretion is right. So this is very important for everyone to understand the importance of circadian rhythm to sleep. And that's why I took the pain to actually explain this. And this is not understood. And I'm telling you, 99.9% of the people have not understood this. That's very, very important for you to understand to have a good office day. Yeah, back to you, Sriram. Yeah. So I think looks like there is some technical issue with Sriram. I want to just go into go into a little bit more about understanding sleep, right? I think sleep has got three very important functions. Okay, sleep has got there are three important functions. One is about growth and repair. Okay, let us understand that. Only when you are sleeping, you are actually repairing your body, and a lot of things that requires growth, it grows. You would have seen that a child sleeps about 16-17 hours of the day. the more the child sleep, it grows, right? So sleep is the one that actually brings in growth. And sleep is also important for immunity. You sleep well, your immunity actually grows up. And now everybody would have said during the COVID time, one of the very important thing is for you to sleep, right? I think, so sleep actually is a very, very important thing for growing immunity in your body. Yeah. So I will continue on this basis, right? I think so. This is one of the main important function, right? Growing and repairing is the first thing that you need to understand. And second thing, which is very interesting that you need to understand, is called scavenging and detox. Why I call it as scavenging is, look, we consume all kind of things through the day, and your liver is the main detoxification. It sort of purifies the body, and then the toxins are remaining within the body, and they are excreted only during the night time. So a good night sleep is really important for you to scavenge and detoxify the body. And also the activity of the free radicals which is coming in. All of you would have known about free radicals, the impact of free radicals, and then the importance of having an antioxidant to kill the free radical. This activity actually peaks during the night when you are sleeping. So that's the second very important function of sleep. So if sleep is deprived, you are going to deprive these two things. And the most important thing, the third function, which is really important for knowledge workers, right? I think whoever is supplying their brain in the office work is about memory and problem solving. Now I will naturally move into the stages of sleep with this. Okay, so memory and problem solving are a very important outcome of having a good sleep. Now then I will move into the stages of sleep. I will ask Udayan, can you just put the stages of sleep a picture for people to see? The next one. Yeah. So there are broadly two stages of sleep. Okay, one is called REM, other one is called non-REM. Okay, REM means rapid eye movement, right? I think your eyelids blink very, very fast, very rapidly when you are sleeping at one particular stage. I will explain what it is. And then you got a non-REM, which is your deep sleep situation. Your non-REM has got further stages called non-REM 1, 2, and 3. Now, when you start sleeping, right, as you start the process of sleep, it is the deep sleep which is actually the more. Every sleep cycle, okay, we are sleeping in cycles. Very, very important for you to know. Our sleep consists of cycles. Each cycle is approximately 90 minutes. Okay, so you start sleeping, and then immediately at the beginning of sleep, you really go very deep. You go into a deep sleep. Deep sleep is really, really important because that is the stage at which the body detoxifies and then it repairs, it grows. All those things are happening. Okay, those two functions happen at that stage. And Kirti asked the question: how come some people are not, waking up if they are in a deep sleep situation? In the first cycle, deep sleep is about 80-90% of the time. And then it is as if there is a fight happening between the deep sleep, that is the non-REM and REM. Then REM comes and takes over. This process is completely algorithm driven, and no one has figured out what exactly is this algorithm. This seems to be a God is the fantastic code writer, right? I think when we go into the DNA, you will realize that God has written a code in a biological material, right? In an organic material, or inside a deoxyribonucleic acid, or the DNA. So God has written code there. It is the algorithm. We are yet to figure it out. I think we have not even figured out probably 1% of the entire code, right? So God is the code writer. God has written a code, and the algorithm determines when your REM will come, non-REM will come. But by and large, we know the first cycle is heavily in favor of the deep sleep. Deep sleep is when the growth repair is happening, and it is when the free radical killing is all happening. The body is relaxing because your physical parts, which are all tired, which has worked during the day, they all relax. They get rejuvenated during the time. And at this time, if somebody is making a noise, or if there is some light or things like this, it is unlikely that somebody is going to wake up. They are going to continue to sleep. This is at this stage. And suddenly the REM sleep will come and pull out, the non-REM will be out, and then REM will start happening. And the REM is when your rapid eye movement, right? I think your eyelids will start blinking. Your eye will go, actually it's not eyelids start blinking, your eye will go from left to right and sometimes top to bottom also. You will be in the same place, nothing will happen to you, you will have no eyesight. Only that's the eyeballs are moving here and there. That is why it is called rapid eye movement. Now during this time you start dreaming. Now dreaming is an essential part, I think, of sleep. And then as you start dreaming, I will complete the sleep and then I will get into dream a little bit, right? I think I will talk about dream. It's very important, right? We are talking about sleep, we need to talk about dream. Now this non-REM will go into stages 1, 2, and 3. Three is the deepmost sleep. The moment you hit third stage, REM doesn't allow you, it comes and pulls it back, it takes it into REM. And then you start a little bit of REM, and then again the non-REM will overtake that, it will go there. So each cycle is about 90 minutes, and generally you will have about 5 cycles, about 450 minutes, roughly about 7.5 hours is what is called a good sleep. So anything less than 7.5 hours is not a good sleep. Now I will also cover another myth here, right? I think people say that I sleep for 6 hours, I have had a good sleep, and I have had a good sleep. You may not have a good sleep. If you have got only 6 hours that you have slept, it's about 360 minutes. You probably did not have one cycle in full, and that's not a great thing to have. If you have missed one cycle, then you have missed one full cycle, right? I think it is really important for you to understand that this REM and the non-REM are some kind of a God-given algorithm. It runs on its own. Nobody controls them. No one can actually externally also influence. But there are some research that are happening now that during the non-REM sleep, going very, very deep, they are trying to make a particular sound. Now, there is some noise coming from somewhere else, Sriram, maybe from your side. Yeah, or some participant is there is some noise which is coming. Yeah. So now it is done. Thanks. So now we are trying to make some sound during the non-REM, the deep sleep, to elongate the deep sleep, and all those things. Researches are happening. Somebody has actually succeeded. People have got some prize also, but it's not yet available. So let me not worry about it. But it seems to be an emerging new thought process. So so there is this non-REM and REM is happening, and REM is really important. REM is what about creativity is all about. You got to have a good REM sleep. You need to dream really, really well. If you have dreamt really well in your sleep, what happens during the REM period? It is like, in the olden days, the hard disk, if there are fragments all over the place, there is a utility to defragment the hard disk. That is exactly what happens during your REM sleep. I think, dream while the superficial part of the brain seems to be dreaming, the deeper part of the REM, the brain is actually reorganizing itself. There are memories which need to be stored into the long-term memory, and that is very important. There is another algorithm which is running, which determines which memory is not needed any longer. For example, what you had as breakfast 7 days back, you may not remember. You should not remember also. Imagine that you are remembering all your breakfast over the last 2 years' time. What is the point? It's of no use. So the brain actually determines what is the thing to be remembered. Remembering and forgetting is as important as that of remembering. Forgetting is a very, very important function. You can't remember everything else. So that also happens during the forgetting process happens. What needs to be remembered, what needs to be kept in the long-term memory also happens during the dream. So dream is a very interesting process during this time. Brain reorganizes itself. It scavenges, it throws away what is not required. It reorganizes itself, and then it lets you. And during this time, since it is reorganizing, if you have had a problem, they say just generally, I slept on this problem, right? It's literally true. You sleep on the problem, you might probably have a solution. Problem solving, many times it has happened to me personally. In fact, there are times I used to keep a small notebook and a pencil. I will write down solution to some of my problem arises in the night. So I understand that it happens. And then problem solving happens, creativity happens. There is also another story. They say that in the ancient days, human beings were living in the tree, right? I think they were living in the tree and they were sleeping in the tree. While they were sleeping in the tree, they only had the non-REM sleep. They never had the REM sleep because, REM sleep requires that you are literally sleeping on a flat surface. You can't really have a REM sleep in the top of the tree. As human being came down from the tree, as he started sleeping in a flat surface, he started developing this REM. REM sleep is responsible for the civilization. REM sleep is responsible for the advancement, invention, discovery, creativity. Taj Mahal. Everything else is responsible. REM sleep is what is responsible. That's what they say. And REM sleep is really, really important. I think it is very important for you to dream really. And let us also demystify a couple of things about dream, right? I think one very important thing, while you are dreaming, you can't live your dream. For example, why I'm saying physiologically, while you are dreaming, there is your brain actually freezes all your body parts, right? For example, in the dream, let us imagine, South Indians will know, if you are an MGR, you have a sword in your hand and you are playing a sword game. You can't really do that. You can't take a sword. Only your partner will get hurt, so you can't really get up from your sleep and then you can't really walk. You are running a marathon race or something like that in your dream. It all happens in dream. Your body part, none of it will move. Every part below your, only part that will is the breathing. All other parts will be frozen. So you can't live your dream, first of all. Second thing is, you will also not remember any part of your dream. It is not possible to remember any part of the dream. If you have remembered some part of the dream, it is only, probably the latest dream that you have at 5:30 in the morning. Probably you will remember. You won't remember. And then in the dream, everything is about absolutely irrational things happen, non-logical, illogical things happen. You will, suddenly you will be flying, suddenly you will be here, you will be there, and people that you don't know will be there. It is intended to be illogical. It is intended to be, disjointed. You will, and people will have vivid dreams, nightmares. All those things are all intended to be, right, as the brain culls out the data to reorganize itself. All those things are all natural reaction. And last but not least, very important thing about dream, there is, Sigmund Freud wrote a very book. Very humbly, let me submit, I personally don't believe dreams have got any meaning, right? I think let's not try and interpret the dreams. There is no meaning. It has been now, Freud's theory has been completely countered. Now people are saying dreams have got no meaning. If something is intended to be conveyed to you, it will probably be conveyed to you when you are awake. There is no reason to convey that to you when you are sleeping in a dream stage. So dreams have got no meaning. Let's not really go behind trying to interpret a dream or trying to remember the dream. Dreams are not meant to be remembered. Dreams have got no logic. They're not supposed to be remembered. So we have understood the stages of dream, and we have also understood what exactly, stages of sleep, 90 minutes each sleep, and then dream. I think we have now covered the entire process of sleep. More or less we have covered that, right? I think, Sriram, are you back? You are good to ask some questions. Yeah, looks like I will continue again, right? I think I'm going to now talk about something very, very important, right? I'm going to talk about sound sleep, or rather snoring. It's that's my personal story also. That's where I will relate myself really very well. And the reason why I did all this research about sleep is all because I you
Sure.
know
Thanks,
I
Srini. I think that was pretty exhaustive.
yeah. So we have now done about 50 minutes,
Yeah.
Sriram. I will talk about snoring, and then I think then we can take some more questions, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can.
So
Yes, I'm back. Yeah, I'm back.
yeah. So
I am back, Srini. I just wanted to touch upon
yeah,
one thing. My apologies to the viewers. We've been experiencing a lot of technical difficulties during the session today. I just wanted
yeah,
you to touch upon. I don't know if you have already spoken about it. You had mentioned about snoring.
yeah.
and its relation to sleep. So would you want to talk about that?
Yeah. I'll talk about it. Then I will. I think there is one question from Shruti, which I will
Yeah.
address that in after this. After talking about snoring, right? So snoring, there are more males are susceptible to snoring,
So
and about the data is about 30 to 40% of the male
yeah,
population actually
yeah,
snores.
sure.
Okay, so that is the data.
Sure,
You know,
Srini. I wanted you to
see
actually
in the
talk a bit about snoring.
yeah, I'm talking about snoring, Sriram. You are sort of intermittent, right? I think I can't hear you continuously. So I understood your question. So let me address the snoring. Yeah. Um, so snoring must have sort
Yeah,
of
Srini. I
developed,
mean,
right?
you
I
can
don't
go ahead
think we
and
snore
share
as
your thoughts about snoring.
yeah. I'll do that. I'll do that. So snoring is probably a recent phenomenon. Must have developed in the last maybe 100 years or 1,000 years. Maybe snoring does not have probably more than 1,000 years of age. It seems to be a development of the modern living and the
Sure.
travails.
Yeah.
So, so we know that quite a lot of people are snoring, and then we take them very, very lightly. Snoring can lead you into a very dangerous disease called sleep apnea. Sleep apnea means, there are these soft palates, right, and your throat muscles. It actually collapses
Sure.
and stops you from
Yeah.
breathing.
Yeah.
You will
Sure.
not be breathing. Absolutely, you will not be breathing. You will realize that you are not breathing. Your breathing will stop. And all of us know now, due to the COVID regime, that there is something called SpO2, right? In fact, I wear a watch which is a GOQii watch, which actually measures live SpO2. It's the amount of oxygen that is there in your blood. SpO2 will actually come down. If you are not breathing, there is no oxygen supply to your brain, and the oxygen level in your body will come down. It will go less than 90, and then the brain will wake up. And once the brain wakes up, you will not wake up. Okay, you will continue to sleep, but you will wake up with a jerk, and then your palates will open up, and you will start breathing again. Your oxygen level will go up. Now this whole process will repeat again and again and again. Maybe it will repeat for some, on an average, if you got a sleep apnea, it will repeat for about 120 times easily. If you got untreated sleep apnea, this kind of a process can repeat for about 100 times in your sleep cycle. And every time this cycle starts and your oxygen goes down, and then you jerk with the jerk, you wake up, and then your oxygen level goes up. There are a whole lot of other hormonal reaction happens in your body, and this has got a direct correlation with cardiac health. It has got a direct correlation with diabetes. That's what we understood. And in fact, I used to take, I can quote this to you actually medically. I used to take up to 100 milligrams of beta blocker, and that is considered as very, very high dose. That's what my doctor said, but he said you should have it, you have no choice. But I will tell you, when I started, after my sleep therapy has happened, and when I started addressing my sleep apnea, it has come down. Now I am down to some 10 milligrams. That also doctor says one of these days he will give up. So it's so dramatic. The fall on my hypertension is also under significant control. So it is yeah. Okay, I get you. So it is very important for you to understand that the sleep apnea has got so many other impacts. You may be lying flat, and you may be sleeping, or you may be sleeping, but you may not be really reaping 100% of the, if there is an index of sleeping, right, which is measuring various parameters. And there is a test that you can do. It is called polysomnography, to measure how well that you have actually slept. That sleep index will probably be telling you very, very pathetic result, that if you are having snoring. So it is very important. If you are more than 40 years of age, please talk to your doctor, get a polysomnography. And if you are snoring, please get a polysomnography test done. And even if you are not snoring, if you are more than 40 years, if you are doing a master health checkup, once in 2 years, once in 3 years, include a polysomnography there in any case. I think it is really important that people do this. And snoring can be easily treated. The CPAP machines have come, very, very advanced machines have come, and they give you, they will cure you of snoring, and you will sleep, and you will think that, yeah, I have gained 110 years, 20 years back. So it will give you so much of energy that you will go back, and it is really important for you to do that. Now I will handle Shruti's question, then I will go to what is the, what about youngsters, right? Shruti's question is about sleep deprivation. What is the impact of that on professional decision making process? What corrective measures you can take apart from regularizing your sleep patterns? See, professional judgment is the key thing on decision making process, right? Your intuition, insightfulness, and judgment, these are all very difficult. Nobody has written a book on how to improve your judgment, how to improve your insightfulness, how to improve your intuitiveness. It is very difficult. These are all innate processes, and these are all driven by a lot of chemical and neurological processes in your brain, and the number of synapses that you are having, number of connections that you are having in your brain is really important for you to do a good decision making process. And the neurological process in the brain, it is extremely important for it to have a good quality, both REM and non-REM sleep. You need to have this. You need to have at least good 5 cycles of sleep every day that you need to have, because every day you are accumulating toxins. You need to remove it. Sleep is a daily requirement. And one of the other myths that you can have sleep deposit or sleep loan, both of them are not possible. You can do a deposit or a loan in a bank. It is not possible in sleep. If you have lost some sleep today, you have lost some portion of it permanently. You can't repair it, you can't rectify it. And you can't deposit in sleep and then you can withdraw it also. That is also not possible. So you need to do it again today, tomorrow, every day. You need to do that. It is very important for you to have this, and that is the only way how you can actually develop a good decision making process. Sleep is important to decision making. I am telling you this. I think that's addressed, right? I think not getting sound sleep nowadays is one of the reason of COVID pandemic. Negative news are spreading everywhere and affected each one of us. Yes, negative news is impacting you. I mean, what are the channels which are giving you negative news? Negative news. It is very important to stay away from the negative news. But yes, negative news may impact. I think it can come. It can come into the tier 2, tier 1 in your own family. It can come. It has come to me also. There is not a single family which is not impacted by this wave 2, right? Every family is impacted in one way or the other. So we all have to do this. But I think what we can do is some of these things which physically sort of helps in getting a good sleep. You can do that, and so sleep is really important for two reasons. One, to ward off all the negativity, and second thing is to grow your immunity. What is the see, look, masks will be there, and you can wash your hand and all those things. How long you are going to do that? Next 20 years, 30 years, you are going to wear mask, and you are ready to do that? Survival of the fittest, right? I think we know that this is Darwin's theory, and it is true. The real ability to fight thing is having an innate immunity system. The innate immunity can come only from a good quality sleep, and one of the biggest contributors to immunity is sleep. So you need to actually sleep well. If you have to do a lot of things, you need to have immunity is important. And then, so I want to talk about the youngsters, and I want to talk about coffee, right? Really important before I actually wrap up. The CEO of Netflix actually mentioned that people asked him, this is a Wall Street call, this is a recorded call, it's there in Google, you can go and check that up. He was asked, what about your competition? Who are all your competition? CEO of Netflix said, my competition is sleep. That is what he said. He has the audacity to say that. Actually, I'm really appalled that somebody says this and he gets away with that. And this is maybe possible in a Wall Street kind of scenario. And he said that this is, sleep is my enemy or my competition. That's what is happening, right? I think what is happening, I have seen people telling me that, Srini, look, I am watching some Korean, nowadays I think it is the rage, right? I think, so why do you want to see Korean stuff that is happening there? We may not even culturally relate to that. So, youngsters understand one thing. Youngsters may be buying an alarm to wake up. Okay. Only advice that I will give you is you please train your alarm to let you go to sleep on right time. Go to sleep at a particular time and again. 10 o'clock or 10:30, you must go to sleep. It is really important. When you are young, you can grow your, your problem solving skills, creativity, and all those things. You need to, sleep really well. You got to have an alarm to go to sleep, and that's the only advice that I want to give. Do not keep an alarm for, why do you keep an alarm for waking up sleep? Invariably because you are starting to sleep very late, and that's why you need an alarm. Otherwise, you will wake up on your own. You are keeping an alarm for waking up because you are not sleeping on time. Change the whole thing else. Keep an alarm for sleeping on time. You don't need an alarm for waking up. That's one simple thing that if you do, your life will change, right? I think so. So that is really important. And finally, I want to talk about coffee. Coffee contains this harmful chemical called caffeine. You all know this. Let us not cheat ourselves that it is not there in tea. It is there in tea also. Caffeine is in coffee as well as in tea also. Both of them contains caffeine. Caffeine is a very harmful chemical for sleep. You know why? I talked to you about adenosine buildup, right? And the receptors are telling your body that yaar adenosine bar gaya. So sleep aane ka time hai. Now, caffeine has got a very specific property. It goes and tells the inhibitors that there is no adenosine. It creates a maya, an illusion that there is no adenosine. As a result of which, all your neurotransmitters are telling your brain that there is no adenosine. It confuses your brain as to the time of the day and all those things. In that confusion, your body thinks that there is some, newfound energy, and therefore you are looking like this. So if you are having coffee, I also have coffee. Okay, I am a South Indian. I have a filter coffee in the morning, but I will tell you one thing: do not have coffee beyond 2 p.m. Very, 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 very important tip for you. If you can avoid having coffee beyond 2 p.m. If you want to have chai in the afternoon, have a masala chai. Put lot of adrak in it. Put lot of ilaichi in it. Have a masala chai. Masala chai sort of brings down the caffeine impact of this, because it takes about 6 hours to drain 50% of caffeine from your body. So even if you are having by 4 o'clock tea or coffee, it takes about 6 o'clock. By 10 o'clock, it would have drained only 50%. Balance 50% is still there. So coffee impedes adenosine. Adenosine impedes all other parts. Sleep. Your sleep is gone. So do not have coffee beyond 2 o'clock. If you are having tea, have it as a masala tea, or have best is have a cutting chai. Have a little bit of chai. That's very important. So coffee and tea, or I want to talk a lot more about coffee and tea. It's very important to talk about it. But I want to actually stop here and see if there are any questions that we can actually answer. It will be good to have. There's a lot more things to talk about sleep. I can go on for at least next couple of hours. But I'm quite keen to understand if there are any questions. Yeah. Okay. Superb. Then, thank you, Sriram. Thank you, Udayan. And namaste. Have a great sleep tonight. And if you have enjoyed my lecture, and if you have felt sleepy, that is okay. It's intended to make you, if you have slept, that is fine, because have a good sleep tonight, every night. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Thank you.